In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to work with initial states. I have lesson 20 opened up here, and essentially what I have is a very simple simulation where I've got a red emitter and a yellow emitter, and they're swirling around. Now, what I'd like to do is take a minute to talk about initial states. So right now, you notice I hit rewind, and my container goes blank. Then I hit play, I got to wait for a little bit, and then let's say I want to start right here. Well, unfortunately, when I hit rewind, it's gone. And because I need each of these frames to calculate where this particular particle is, I can't just scrub to frame 50 because that's not the same. So what I want to do is set the initial state. So I let it play to about frame 55, and then with the container selected, we'll go to Fluid Effects, down to Set Initial State. Now there's a number of things that we can set. Let's go to the option box and take a look. If you want, you can set just the density or just the fuel, just the color. You have complete control over what gets remembered, mainly because you may want to tweak the fuel and keep everything else the same. I'm going to leave everything at default, and I'll choose Set Initial State. Now what's nice about this is notice I'm on frame 55. When I hit rewind, this is where my simulation starts. So this is really cool. This gives me a lot of control. Now if I've made a mistake, I can actually go up here to Fluid Effects, clear the initial state. Unfortunately, it won't update in your viewport. You're going to have to hit the rewind button, and that will update it and then redraw when you hit play. Okay. So let's say I like this pose right here, and I'm going to set the initial state again. Something that's really nice is the ability to go in and save this out. So let's go ahead with it selected, choose Save State As, and it will by default put it in the initial states directory. I'm going to go into the miscellaneous 2D, and that way I can just keep mine separate. I'll call this DT_swirl. Okay. Now why would I need that? Well, I'm going to create another container, and I'll just move it over. And what I'm now going to do is say, all right, since I have these two containers, I would like this container's initial state to look just like this one. Not a problem. To set that, all we have to do is go to Add Edit Contents, down to Initial States option box. Now, just for discussion, I'm going to choose As Is, and then I'm going to hit Apply and Close, and I'll show you the difference between these two in just a second. So I'll hit Apply and Close. It's going to open up the visor, and it's going to already be set to my Fluid Initial States tab. I'll open up Miscellaneous, 2D, and there's my DT swirl, the one that I just created. So all I have to do is middle click, drag and drop. Now, because I'm not on frame 0 or frame 1, it has a hard time trying to predict what's going on, so I'll just hit rewind, and there you go. So if you take a look, we now have a new container that looks exactly like this container, and it's exactly where we left it off. However, this container does not have any emitters. So watch what happens when I hit rewind and play. This container over here on the right simulates it through, while the one on the left is still emitting particles. So I don't have an emitter. If I need emitters, I want to actually save that entire block out and reuse it. Okay, so again, two different ways of working with this. Now, I do want to take 1 second to show you the difference between as is and from initial state. For example, I'm going to set a resolution of 10 by 10. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put in a initial state. So add edit contents, initial states, and inside your miscellaneous 2D, there's one for a Maya logo. This is the old school Maya logo from way back in the day. So I just applied it, but God, it looks terrible. Well, if I play this back, it's still simulating, but not what I would expect it to be like. Okay. So here's the challenge. When you use as is, it takes whatever this container's resolution is and leaves it at that. So for example, if I create a new container, and I'll move it over, and this resolution is at 40 by 40. Watch what happens when I choose my other option for my initial states. So I'll choose option box. I'll say, you know what, don't leave it as is. look at the initial state. Okay, apply and close. It'll load up my visor. Again, miscellaneous, 2D, and I'll take my logo and I'll apply it this time. Now watch what happens right here to this resolution. When I apply this initial state by middle clicking and dragging, it applied it. It looks 100% different from here. But if I look at my container, it's now set to 80 by 60. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we need the system to do. So why would you need one or the other? Well, if I wanted to have a very high resolution, I could do that, and I could override it with the as is. Or maybe I don't need to go as high as 80. Maybe 50 would do it. So you really get your own way of modifying the resolution based off of your initial state that you've saved out in your visor. So again, a great way to create presets, and once you've got something really nice, well painted, you can leave it as is and then pull it in later on.